Hey there, you beautiful, horrible, detestable, disgusting, gross piles of filth. I hate you, I love you, I'm here for you. What is happening? I don't know. I'm tired. I'm also Madhog. And
I'm also Devar Arcvarron right here, just
I
about to reference a song, but I'm not going to.
I guess he's also here, and we are... Great way to start, by the way. The MADPlay podcast, which stands for Madhog and Devar Play, in case you're confused. And we are back! A dinosaur story. Hooray!
Yes, and sans a video game.
We are going to have some manner of video game footage on this podcast. I'm going to slapdash some cobbled up playthrough of some description onto this podcast. It's probably going to be my fashion showcase from my Skyrim game.
Oh, that sounds absolutely lovely.
Yes.
It was on the front cover of Nord Weekly.
No, it was not. The Nords are notoriously racist.
Oh, okay.
But it was definitely on the front cover of Scaly Monthly. Every month.
Of course.
Forever. That's it for gameplay commentary. Essentially, the point of this whole exercise in fruitlessness is that we are breaking format for this show, for this particular episode. I'll allow to do this once in a while when we don't have a game ready. Of course, the positive anecdote from this entire experience is that it's going to be much easier to get this episode up in a timely manner as opposed to the usual manner, by which I mean 1 month later the original recording. Right, Devar?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Shifty eyes, shifty eyes, shifty eyes.
Let's get to the topics of this podcast, because at the end of the day, it is a podcast that has topics on it, which is a wild concept.
Let's see. I'm basically trying to remember movies I've watched, in between the times that we have done this podcasting business, since last time. And, I won't go into details about this particular movie because I think everyone and their dog has talked about it, including you, actually. But me and the missus have basically took the time to watch Mitchell's vs. the Machines.
Finally! About time! I contacted you last spring because I wanted to do a dramatic sermon on it.
I know. It took us a long while to get to it, but we finally decided to sit down and watch it. I will not say much about it because it's a movie I believe should be seen by as many people as possible because it has a lot of heart put into it. A lot of people who worked on it who knew very intimately the subject matter they wanted to cover, and they put it all together into this energetic, this fun, quirky adventure that involves a robot apocalypse.
It's very good. You would think that such a combination of elements would create some sort of tonal dysfunction, or maybe it had too much meat on the grill, but it all comes together beautifully.
Yeah, it is absolutely wonderful. Should go see it. I don't want to say any more because it's like, it feels like talking about anything about the movie that's spoilerish, or even some of its great jokes that have fantastic timing and dialogue that really puts a smile on your face or even brings out a good laugh out of you.
Yes, it is a legitimately funny film, and it is one of my favorites for 2021.
So rather than talk about that movie, which I don't feel I can give it, the justice it deserves or the time and energy it deserves, I think I've settled on a movie involving a story about a man, a little girl, unrequited love, and his monkey.
Hold on. Is that Vivo?
Yes.
Vivo is great. I love Vivo. Same animation studio, by the way.
I think I do remember that.
Honestly, I like Sony Animation Studio because in terms of their output, it is the most diverse that you could possibly have. Into the Spider-Verse, Mitchells vs. the Machines, and now Vivo, all these three films were produced by the same studio, and they're all quite unique and different with their own flavor and animation style. All the while, you look at the giants of Disney and Pixar, and all they produce basically looks the same every time, and it's starting to get a bit tiring.
Yeah, it's so tiring actually that me and the missus basically actually genuinely skipped watching the latest one from Disney, the one about the dragon. I forget the title of the movie, it's that forgettable.
Raya and the Last Airbender is a very forgettable film that would have worked better as a series, but then we actually have gotten that series, and it's that one created by George Gutierrez. Maya and the Free?
I actually forget that one, honestly.
If you want to watch what Raya should have been, you should watch that one instead.
Like I said, like we're about to say ages ago, Vivo, it's an upbeat musical movie,
Yes.
actually.
Music composed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which puts this film on the same tier as Moana.
Nice.
Two of the best animated musicals ever, in my humble opinion. I wonder why. I wonder what they do have in common. Maybe it's the guy who composed Hamilton, I don't know.
So, like I said before, Vivo is basically the story of a monkey by the name of Vivo.
A monkey!
Who basically lives in, a town within Cuba, I believe it was.
Yes, it's Cuba.
Yeah, I just wanted to basically remember properly because essentially my memory when it comes to watching a movie once is absolutely horrendous. So I tend to forget details easily or miss them. Vivo is a story about a monkey that lives in Cuba with an old man, and they daily play music together, and everyone loves and adores them when they sing together, despite the fact that Vivo is a monkey and people can't understand him.
So essentially, we, the audience, hear the monkey sing. The characters in universe do not. It is extra diegetic music in that particular context. Which can get confusing, because the old man with him is definitely singing for all to see and hear.
But essentially, this is the logic the world goes with. The audience can understand Vivo. Everyone else just hears Vivo doing typical monkey noises.
Just roll with it.
Because they keep to this logic very firmly, and they do not...
They do not stray from it.
Yeah, they do not stray from it, or have characters magically understand the monkey for whatever reason.
Well, they found a way for the monkey to communicate with his human counterparts. Which makes sense within the abilities of a monkey in a cartoon musical.
Yes, they do actually. While we, the audience, already know the dialogue, from the monkey himself, the characters within the movie all read his body language and what he does, within the scene, so they can understand him based on those two factors.
Fun fact, the monkey himself is voiced by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which explains why he has a good singing voice.
The old man and this monkey are very super close. He's basically raised him like...
Okay, well, we all know where this is going, Devar.
Yes, we all do. So yeah, the old man dies.
And it's a very sad scene. He dies just after he received news, a letter from his former flame from 50 odd years ago that left for the States and popularity, and he stayed behind. He did not want to get in the way of her success. If only he knew how she felt!
I know, right?
It's one of those stories, essentially.
But it's a well-told one, honestly. It's a
it's
real tearjerker, honestly.
It's a legitimately sad, pure, cute story, and the payoff in the end with the final musical number just makes it all worth it. A proper emotional roller coaster that doesn't overstay its welcome, I have to say. This film is very well paced. Usually these films drag a bit when it comes to their second act, but the second act goes away pretty quick, which is almost a shame because that Python character was quite good.
Yeah, and plus I really liked the parts when the Python character glowed in darkness.
Yes.
At certain points during the action. So that was pretty cool, I thought, for style.
The animation is good, it is very hyper-stylized, especially when it comes to the musical number, and you can tell this film is made with a much smaller budget compared to what Pixar and Disney put out, but the animators maximize the potential of the medium through the limits that were imposed to them. Let me remind you that Into the Spider-Verse, as good and fresh-looking as it is, its budget was only about $80 million. Compare that to your average Pixar films, that budget becomes about $300 million. So
that's a lot of money.
Yes, but because these films are relatively cheap to make and it's easier for them to make a big return, and that means that they keep getting made, which is all you could ever want. It's how Studio Laika managed to stay in business for so long, even though stop-motion animation is pretty much a dead-on-arrival medium in this cutthroat industry. It's because their films only cost $60 million, and they recycle a lot of material in order to make them. And the return is usually rewarding. Well, except for their last couple of films.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have alternatives that actually provide real alternatives to the most mainstream form of that medium. Unlike DreamWorks was never really an alternative to Disney so much as it was an imitator.
I was going to say bootleg version of Disney.
I wouldn't go that far. It had a few good films here and there. But yes, let's not forget what Disney really is like. When they acquired Fox, they also acquired Studio Blue Sky, and they immediately shut it down, even though they were almost done with the production of their own animated film, which was explicitly about a gay couple. And you know that they would not have been able to sell that film in China or Russia or insert socially conservative country here, which is the number one priority for megacorporations and pop cultural black holes such as Disney to keep in mind. They want to make the film censor-friendly for China, but they also want to pander to you and get your money by saying, this is our 800th first ever totally real explicit gay character in our film, Rainbow Capitalism, give us your money! You know?
Yeah, I know, pretty much.
It's the reason why we don't get that many films, that many high-profile films with explicitly gay characters. I'm sorry for this tangent, by the way.
It's alright.
Now look at a show like She-Ra, the recent Netflix reboot. A very successful show, everybody loved it, I loved it. The two protagonists were absolutely gay. Gay for each other. And yet, the only time in which the gayness was made explicit, sealed with a kiss, and those two finally getting together after 5 seasons of build, was right at the very, 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 very end, when the show was over. And as you know, when a show is ending, the final season is usually allowed to go more crazy, because it's ending. But more to the point, they were only allowed to have gay protagonists because the show was ending. There was no explicit display of romantic gay characters in any of the seasons before that, even though every single character in that show was very much heavily queer-coded. I mean, some characters were very much wearing the colors of the bisexual flag. And you also look at Steven Universe. Rebecca Sugar had to fight tooth and nail against Cartoon Network in order to have the wedding episode between the two gems. And I'm pretty sure that in other countries, one of them was given a male voice actor because censorship.
I bet you Ruby was the one.
Yes, I believe so. And then you look at the constant pandering and teasing and hypocrisy of shows like Ruby that totally promising to you, here's your gay couple, and they never, ever, ever show them being gay together. Ever! Not even a couple! Not even implied! And then here's La Pièce de Résistance, which is the How House, on Disney Channel. And also Disney Plus, where we have explicitly, unambiguously queer characters out as queer characters as early as season 2, as early as the end of season 1, if I'm being perfectly honest. And they are front and center, their existence cannot be denied, and it cannot be censored, otherwise the episodes would not work. Very much part of the plot. And the show is being cancelled. Oh gee, I wonder why. Yes. So anyway, Vivo is good.
Yes, Vivo is very good. And here comes the two-toned evil man of evilness as he hovers evilly over babies.
Evilly shake this baby like a drink.
The rage of the cybernet is
Body Slam!
Let's get ready to slam with the Space Jam!
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Also, wow, Kiko is extremely violent, as it turns out.
Stop! He's already dead.
Tonight's story is Reimu fights the bad guys of Darkness.
Indeed.
I will kill you, Eggman!
Reimu fried, Marisa said. Okay, there are two ways to interpret this line.
It's for the greater good.
Yeah.
I can smack this.
Take that, closet! Take that! And that! And that! A closet killed my parents!
Try and get me to come out, will you? Will you?
That's even better! A closet killed my parents by trying to get me out of it! And that's when I realized that my hatred for closets really was a metaphor for my hatred for closets!
War never changes.
But she used magic to life again!
She used magic to life again. Uh-oh.
Because that's how Toho rolls, sucker! They use magic to life again!
Yes, they use magic to... Wait, what?
Long ago in a distant past, I, Ixis Nagas, unleashed an unspeakable control, but the foolish Sidrian maiden, wielding 7 emeralds, stepped forth to oppose me.
Yeah, and suddenly, oh, baby shocks me.
Oh, I shall use this baby.
And the circle of, baby napping.
Headshot, Captain.
Everyone was celebrating. Paktuli, Aya, Ibuki, Nitori, Siwako, Sanai, Reichi, Sianoche, Rin, Yukari, Mei-Ling, Sakuya, Unzana, Zorina, Shiguma, Parasita, Ribogan, Flamor, Nemiya, Solid Snake, Kanako, Moku, Kaguya, Eren, Tewi, Racing, Wiggle, Nightbug, Wriggle, Nightbug, Star Sapphire, Sunny Milk, Luna Child, Ayusei, Orin, Kane, Gordon Freeman, and Steve!
Before the final strike was struck, she opened an interdimensional portal and sucked me into another dimension where my control is low. Now I seek to return to the Mobius and undo the future that was made by that Sidrian.
I cannot believe you did that.
This is the greatest! Like and subscribe!
So after the old man dies, he needs to send a song to his unrequited love that Madhog has mentioned.
Did I mention that? I don't remember.
you did. You did mention that, about this unrequited love that had to travel and he didn't want to get in the way of her being famous.
Yes.
Such. So he basically wrote a song for her when she left, and he wanted her to hear and play this song, only he died before he could even go see her.
Such tragedy.
So Vivo decides, oh, I know, I'll go and take this song to her to America.
Time to go to Florida. Let's address the female lead for this film.
So basically Vivo ends up going to America by hiding in a particular family member's bag.
I do love animated features or films in general that explore how different cultures react to death.
I mean, look at Coco. That's a pretty good one.
I do love the idea that certain cultures view death not as a sad and tragic end, which is a typical nihilistic Western view of it, and they view it instead as something that gives meaning to life, that makes it more precious. So Vivo and this girl from the old man's family,
Yeah.
they have a crazy musical adventure throughout the bayou and then to Miami, and it's fun. It's fun times to be had all around. She has a great solo song, might I add.
Yeah, about beating to her own drum.
I busted the beat of my own drum!
It's that moment, essentially, that you realize Vivo and her basically have completely different views on what is music and how you express yourself through the medium of music.
Yes.
Because his is like full of harmony,
very polished,
Polished.
very theatrical, musical performance and popular dance that's refined, very well structured, and then you have this girl who's rapping her heart out.
and compared to the music before, where Vivo and the old man were saying it's all harmony and such, hers is complete chaos, absolute madness.
Which is funny because I think her song is the best one in the film. It's certainly the most powerful, very much stands out from what is the general style of music compared to the rest of the film.
I actually do like all the songs in the film, though, mind you, the only one that sticks out to me is her song, where she basically sings about the beat to her own drum. I actually like that aspect because it's quite polished and goes well with Vivo's emotional turmoil of basically grieving for essentially his lost friend, that he,
He's
his
dead.
partner who is
Basically
dead.
his father.
They say a lot of different ways of calling their bond, that basically they were partners, they were like, musical buddies that basically were the only ones that knew each other best because, they harmonized.
Well, the man raised him since he was a cub,
Yeah.
orphaned. So
pretty much
it's
he is the
it's
father.
basically a father figure for
Pretty much
the
he
little
is
monkey.
pretty much he is the father figure, which goes well with the girl in question, since she too is essentially going through her own emotional turmoil, and especially
She's also dealing with loss in her own way, and helping Vivo, to her, feels like a way to properly grieve the passing of her own father.
Yeah.
A way to say goodbye.
And that's probably the biggest theme of the film, basically being able to say goodbye to someone that's gone from your life.
Yes. It's about grief, essentially. Grief for the loss of your loved ones, but also moving on with your life and celebrating life with those who are still alive, who also suffered and grieved their own way for the loss of their loved ones.
Yeah.
You could say, this is a show about death.
Meanwhile, this podcast is a show about porn and death.
That might be the title.
So
Okay.
yeah, I don't think I want to say any more about Vivo other than it's a great film. You should go see it. It's not one of the strongest in the library, but it definitely stands on its own in a way that I could tell you Vivo is a movie that basically made me cry 3 times, and I think that's a badge of honor it deserves. This movie will make you cry. To be honest, I've always been the type to openly cry about stuff in video games or stories in movies and such. I've never been afraid to show my emotions in that regard.
So, we have technically run out of time about half an hour ago, but this is going to be fun to edit on that matter. I had a few more topics of conversation to bring forth, but I did not predict for the porn cat conversation to go on for about an hour, so I assume I will be bringing them up for the next episode of the MADPlay podcast.
whatever form that will be.
Oh, we're going to go back to format for that one, and I have the perfect game for us, I mean for you, to play, as we chat about all the topics that we feel are important to be chatted about.
Of course.
Okay, so once again with feeling, I have been Madhog Thy Master.
And I have been Devar Arcvarron.
Follow us on the Twitters and the social media at Adriano Bordoni1, at Devar Arcvarron, and subscribe, ding the notification bell, I suppose, and whatever else you need to do, I don't know, I don't care. This was the podcast, and
Porn, monkeys, and death.
this is a show about porn. Good night, everybody.
Take care.